Replace fear with the confidence to make sales. Developing offers, honing communication, building relationships, intentionally creating success for yourself, your customers, and your community. Join Corey Berrier and Callye Keene as they learn and share the exact strategies to harness ADHD into a superpower. Join us as we become sales legends.
Welcome to Sales Legends. I am Corey Berrier, and here it was such a rough start, but guess what? It's okay.
I got you, brother. Then I'm Callye Keene. So welcome to Sales Legends. We're going to get into it. We're talking about how to turn those problems, those issues, those deficits that you see with your ADHD and your sales career and turn them into your superpower. So Corey, let's get into this, man. We've got a deep topic today. So, man, I want to talk about environment.
Dude, so important. And, I really didn't realize how important, your environment is. But if you really think about it, I'll give this quick example. Like if you leave your house after you've had a fight with your wife, right? Or girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever it is, and you go into work, your demeanor is slightly different, right? Especially if it's a bad fight, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you experience that. I don't really experience super bad fights. Now, look, I've had my fair share of them in previous relationships, but I don't go through that now. But the point is like you bring that stuff with you. For people like you and me and people that are listening to this, we take things really personally, right? And whether it's really personal or not, sometimes we take it really personally, and that can really affect moving forward, whatever you've got to do that next thing, whether it's going to work or whatever it is.
When I hear environment, I feel like the space that you're in, and to be able to context shift and maybe that's a little piece of what you're saying too, is bringing those feelings from one place to the next, holding on to them, maybe hyper focusing on that and letting your mind continually drift to that conversation or that emotion versus the task at hand. That can be very distracting, very problematic. But when I hear about environmental factors with ADHD, what I think about is my desk and then my room. I think of anchoring. I think of a lot of the practice that we get into with personal development about, the fine flow and maybe break that negative feeling. If you get into that one place and what you do is you do work there and you do that habit, that's magic. Your brain will associate that place or that habit, right? That process with output, with whatever that skill that you've created. You've created a little process for yourself. You've created an area. Your brain really does work like this. And for people with ADHD, maybe that means that you need to be around a big mess for you to feel creative, right? And people can't figure it out. They say, hey, your room's a big mess. Your office is a mess. For other people I know, and this is personal, right? So this isn't, I'm not saying, go trash your office. What I'm saying is you need to find what works for you. Other people, it has to be pristine. You just have to have as few things in it as possible because they want clarity. They don't want to see that extra stuff. And for me, it's a mix of those. I've got my one place that I create content. I have in my office, I usually surround myself with little creative things, past work to remind myself like, hey, I actually know how to do something, right? But, what it is if you go and you decide, well, today I'm going to go work in front of the TV. Today I'm going to go work outside. I'm going to go work in the bed. I'm going to go work here. Maybe that works for you because maybe you don't have ADHD. But for me, this is the tool that I'm going to say environmental factors 100% matter. I'm not going to go to Starbucks and try to write a novel. That's not me. You miss me with that, right? I'm not going to go to a co-working space and pretend like that's going to work. I'm going to put my headphones on. I'm going to put my Bose noise canceling headphones on. I'm going to find a quiet place and I'm going to try to repeat that process until my brain turns that environment into an on-off switch. It's like pressing a button and it knows that that's go time. It's time to do that activity. I don't know.
Well, this is what I think is fascinating, because I've seen your office. Like I like at your at K form. I know. I mean, I know that it's clean, right? I know the area is clean. You might have left a monster can the night before. That'll be like the extent of like the trash on your desk. Now, I love that. I enjoy walking into a super clean office. However, that doesn't happen very often because I'm messy as fuck. And part of it is, now, if I clean my office, it's one thing because I definitely know where everything is. If my wife cleans my office, while I appreciate it, it is fucking unbelievably frustrating because I don't know where anything is. And where, not always, but when I leave something of significance at a place where I know I left it, that's where I left it. And my brain remembers that's where it is. And I have a hard time pivoting away from, trying to look for wherever that thing is if it's not where I left it. Hence the mess that's on my desk. Like, it looks awful. But the truth of the matter is I have everything that I use on a daily basis laying out, because if not, out of sight, out of mind is 1,000% true for me. If it's if I can't see it, I'm not going to focus on it. I am not going to do it. Not going to do it.
Wow. I think when we talk about environment, we can look at the environment that we grew up in as well. And you talk about this aside from nature, genetics or evolution. You look at the environment of how we had to go to school, and it is a breeding ground for failure if you have ADHD. It doesn't matter how smart you are, dumb you are. It's just you have no control over that environment. It's constantly changing, and it's constantly changing to something that you may or may not be interested in for a really long period of time. So to say, hey, I want you to sit through a 45-minute, or at a school I went to, an hour and a half long class on a topic that you don't like. Now, for someone with ADHD, that will ruin your whole day. It's very difficult to then go context switch and then say, okay, now I'm going to go into something that I enjoy. After that frustration, after being quelled and told to sit down and to take notes or whatever, it's very difficult to then overcome that environmental factor and then say, okay, now I'm going to context switch and I'm going to enjoy this element, because you kind of know, well, then I got to go to this other thing that I don't enjoy. And it's difficult, and it's outside of your control. And I think, Corey, people take that and they settle, and then they take that environmental factor, this is outside of my control, and they take that to their relationship, they take that to their employment, and they take that to their personal development. And so they don't realize that as an adult, we have lots of responsibilities, and we don't like all of them. But one of our responsibilities is that we are supposed to be designing and crafting our life. And I look at it and say, okay, well, my work, I want to, as much as possible, be able to craft the environment of my work, or the type of work that will then actually function for me. So I'll give somebody a weird example of this for me. Now, I help run a pretty sizable company. Okay. I don't have a phone. I don't have a phone in my office. I don't take phone calls. And when people say, oh, you don't take phone calls, they think that I mean I don't take incoming calls because I have a receptionist. We do have somebody that answers the phone, but I do not take phone calls. Not like, oh, I'm important. I just don't do it because it's distracting and generally irrelevant. And the result of most of the phone calls is that they should have emailed me. So I use Calendly, and the person that answers the phone says, yes, he'd love to speak with you. Let me check his calendar. Okay, it seems that he has Tuesday at 10 o'clock open. Would you like to schedule that call right now? They don't say, hey, well, he only takes appointments. They just say, hey, that's fantastic. He'd love to discuss this with you as soon as possible. I see he has an opening for tomorrow morning. I can shoot you the link, or we can schedule right now. Which works best for you? Okay, great. That works for you. That you see an email with the call link come in. Hey, and in the meantime, these are the things that will help this meeting go the best possible. He's going to need this information, this information, this information. If you can email it to this email address, the whole management team gets to look at it. sales, production, etc. All right, fantastic. And I don't get interrupted.
And you get everything that you could possibly ask for before the call.
Right.
Killer qualification. I mean, that's a killer process, like
Yep.
ironclad.
Yeah. And I want to bring this into sales about the environment is that as salespeople, you have a lot more flexibility in what that environment looks like and what your actions look like than almost any other type of professional. So you can craft that process and that narrative. And this is something Corey talks about a lot is, how you're bringing in those leads, how you're reaching out to people, how you're pre-qualifying people. That's up to you. And if you don't like people blowing up your phone at weird times, you need a funnel or you need a VA or you need a process that makes it so you can look at what you're going to do in the morning, set aside that time and focus on that. If you need to focus in the mornings and you want to take all the calls in the afternoon, then you can set it up like that. If you're like me and I block off all my recurring things, so there's just times that get filled in for certain slots for phone calls, you do it like that. But you need to control your own environment, not let the environment be controlling you.
That's right. Because it'll be counterproductive, right? It's super, and what you're saying, especially with people, that have ADHD, like we need structure to a degree, right? And sometimes I've talked about this, but sometimes I don't like structure. Sometimes I don't like my own damn structure. Meaning, if I may put something on the calendar that says I need to do this thing, and whether that thing is like, let's say it's post social media. Every day I get a fucking reminder that says, do a post on social media. I hate doing posts on social media. So guess what? That reminder in my brain gets checked off and it's really not a reminder, right? So we're not really talking about that in particular, but we're talking about structuring your, I was actually talking about reminders there, but the point is like, you got to do what works for you. And if that works for you to be pulled all over the place, and if you're ADHD, that doesn't work for you. I'm already going to tell you that, because guess what? You can't be in 14 different places at once. And what you just explained is a strategy or the way you have designed your environment to where you're not being pulled away with a bunch of shit that, quite frankly, is going to probably cost you more time and effort because you took that call.
Yeah. Well, it takes a long time to then get back into into developing a strategy, developing a product, improving our business processes. Those aren't things that you can just stop and pick back up. Those are things that require finding flow, whole different topic to get into. So you need to be able to control your environment. If people are interrupting you, they're popping into your office, they're constantly texting you, you're looking at social media, you need to find strategies of changing your environment. But here's a really simple one is you can find a place, Corey, for making that post, a physical place in your house. And so you say, well, I do this thing. And then after I do that thing, so you get up, you check this, you smoke a cigar, and you say, I'm going to sit on the steps of my garage and I'm going to use my phone. After I smoke that first cigar, I'm going to sit on these steps and I'm going to knock out one long form text post. And that's what I do. I just do it like that every day. Try that for 2 weeks and you'll realize that when you sit down at that 9 o'clock in the morning, whenever it is, that it just becomes easier and easier because your brain is dumb, dude. It's dumb. It's dumb. Right. And
habit stacking.
It's habit stacking. And you just put it in, you put a pin in it. So for me, the thing that I'm trying, and I'm by no means perfect, is I get up, I walk on our treadmill, and then I go sit and I do my Facebook posts. So I make sure to comment on all of our friends' stuff, put out a value post, and then I move on. That takes about 15 minutes, but I know I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that. So for that to work, first I have to get on the treadmill, of course. Right. So you build that habit. And this is why all of these things work. This is why environmental factors are so critical. For me to get on that, it means I have to get up on time. For me to get up on time, it means I have to go to bed on time. That's going to bring us to our sleep conversation. And that's controlling the environment of the sleeping area. So then the environment of the working out area, or, I used to go to the gym and do this exact same thing. I'd do my cardio, then I'd do a post, and then I would would lift a little bit of weight. Boom, 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 boom. And you think like, that's not optimal. I'll just do it when I get at work. But then you get pulled in a bunch of different directions. But after a while, you just trained it where you say, I see this thing. I'm already starting to think about posts. I'm already lining it up. Oh, now I'm actually watching information on YouTube instead of watching cartoons on my phone. So I'll be really informed about exactly what to post. You start lining it up for success.
Absolutely. That's a great point. That's such a great point. And part of it too is, and you know, I think your example with stopping at the gym after cardio, you know that you've got to finish the other part, right? So I don't know that there's a reward in there. The reward is you get to the next thing much quicker, the weights, and then you do get to get shower and get to work, which is really the thing that you want to do.
Well, it makes it time bound because the example that you just gave, I think for everybody that's listening to this, for me, for you, that is a black hole, right? It's a black hole of time. You're like, I'm going to watch a couple reels, and you're like, okay, now I just watched 2 hours worth of Instagram reels. So
most of them unrelated to what I should have been watching.
Exactly. So I was supposed to be watching my training video, from my mentor and from my coach. Instead, I was watching, people make butter from scratch. So I just blew 2 hours of my day that I don't have. So, and I'll be honest, I love that stuff. I love the internet. I love it. Right. And if I have the time, I'm 100% going to have my downtime wasted by stuff like that. But in the context, that's my job. My job is to post those things. That's how people get to know me. We were talking about this earlier. I have a very specific goal that I'm allowing myself quite a runway to achieve. But to do that, I know I have to do a few things. I have to participate in the conversation around platforms where the person that I want to work with, collaborate with, exists, with the people that are around that person specifically. I know that I have to do that work. So I got to go into the black hole, I got to fly close to the sun here. So to do that, I just say, well, dude, I got to go take a shower. I got to get to work. I only have 15 minutes to do this. So I put in that time bound thing, or in the gym, like, hey, I'm going to do this for my cool down area. Like I'm kind of stretching, kind of posting, but I have stuff to do. So I've bound it in time after something I'm supposed to do, before something I'm supposed to do. So there's a kind of a max min amount of time that I can put in there, but also I get the power of anchoring. I get that power of a recurring habit of context. Your brain works fantastically in context. And yeah, dude, it's so easy. It's so easy to fall off and waste a bunch of time, in doing that. And if you're, like yourself, like me, you be honest to people who are listening to this. It's like, make money. If you're in sales, you probably make money online, right? If you're content first, that's how you're going to get known. That's how you're going to get clients. That's how you come up with new ideas. That's how you educate yourself, right? It's just really easy to waste time. So,
but don't kid yourself, and if you're listening to this, like spending 4 hours on TikTok is not research. Right. It's just not and don't kid yourself to think it is, because it's not. Right. I mean, there's only so many fucking things you can watch on TikTok or wherever that's going to feed the end result, which is you're putting a piece of content out around the context of what we're talking about.
I'm just trying to find out what works on TikTok right now. It's like, right. Well, wasting time. That's what works.
Right. And for people like you and me, like TikTok's dangerous as hell.
Yeah.
Because, it's that rapid changes.
Boom, boom, boom,
it's
boom.
a constant dopamine hit, right? And for us, that's what we look for.
Yeah.
It's just suck you in a heartbeat.
Oh man. So this is a really good one. Environment, you could take this so many different ways, but really the way I see people work or see people try to go after what they're trying to achieve, right? When they're trying to work their goals or work their job, they're trying to make sales, they're trying to put deals together. They're not really thinking about their environment. And if you're not thinking about the environment, you're not thinking about your processes, and you're not thinking about how you architect this whole situation. So if Corey tells you, here's a great follow-up process, but your environment's so chaotic that you're getting interrupted all the time, how's that going to work for you?
Not very well.
Not very well. Like if people are interrupting you on the phone or you're getting pulled in a bunch of different directions, how's that going to work for you? It's not going to work for you.
No.
So you look at this, and we've been sold this idea that that's okay because we never had to tend to our environment. In school, the environment is forced on us. Maybe if you had a big corporate job, you went to college, the environment's largely forced on you. But then if you're a coach and you're listening to this, there's nobody helping you. If you're a salesperson, say if you're an outside salesperson, for sure, there's nobody. You're just out in the wind. You have to build this thing. Big.
Yeah, dude. And for people, especially that are ADHD, like one of the biggest traits or one of the most common things I found is, like following through with whatever the thing is. And so one of the things that I've really focused on with that is I don't commit to following through on things that are not interesting, because guess what? It's not going to fucking happen. It's just not going to happen. I can tell you all day I'm going to do it. But if I'm not interested in it, it's probably not going to happen. Ask my wife. She'll tell you. I have no interest in. I don't give a shit if my clothes are in the floor. Personally, she, on the other hand, does. It's just not that interesting to me. I don't care. Right? So, and that's not an excuse, but it is something that now that I'm aware of, that I'm like, oh, okay. So like, this is one of those things that you really hate doing and you have no interest in, but you got to do it anyway, because if not, it's just going to lead to more problems, right? But I'm aware. And that's what I'm talking about here.
Updating your pipeline and your CRM is the same way. That's dirty clothes on the floor in your business, right?
Yes.
And so you hate doing it. So what do? We build an automated method that keeps all that stuff connected, right? Because I just know, and I definitely know after, working with you for a year, you're never going to pick up that shirt. That's just not how it's going to be. What it's going to be is we need a shirt that picks up itself, puts itself
right.
We need a robot shirt. And all that does is make it so you have more time to focus on what's making you win, instead of worrying about like, oh, did you click a button on a CRM to say, are they a lead? Are they hot lead? When are we going to follow up with them? When should we follow up? It's like,
well, think about this, dude.
I'm wasting my time as a salesperson doing this. I got to be on the phone. I got to be contacting people. I got to find deals, right?
Well, what about the time? How much time do you think? I mean, I suppose I should be asking myself this question, but how much time do you think I spend worrying about the shit, or concern more so put it into steps to make sure that I do the things that I hate doing, and when I forget to do them, I just think that the environment up here, it takes a toll on yourself because
background processing of those things. And I mean, I can tell you a million examples from my own life. I had something happen today. So it's like, oh, you got to remember these 10 things. I'm like, you're just setting me up. I'm not going to remember that. I'm not going to do it. Like, it's just not going to happen. I already have more things to remember to do than if you're listening to this, anybody that I'll just say that it's a lot of things. It's a list of hundreds of things to remember. And I use all my tricks. I've got my reminder list all segmented out on my iPad to try to look at it. But if you say, hey, when you do this, can you do that? And it's not written down, it's not on my calendar, and we're 100% going to go into all these tools. If it's not codified and put down, the chances of me remembering it are 0. The chances of me worrying about it until I forget are 100%. And the chances of me getting extremely upset after I forgot are absolute, because I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. It's like, watch this guy forget this thing. Watch him forget every time. It's like, why are you asking me to do this shit? I'm not going to do it.
Right.
If you cared, you'd remember. No, I would not. Like, I've never remembered a thing like that in my entire life. And I'll be 80 years old and I'll still be forgetting to do my homework. It's not going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
But it's vitally important for the people around you to know that, right? And we're talking about like even let's go back to like your home environment or your cell, any environment that you're in. If people and look, this is the environment I lived in up until recently understanding the reason why these things happen, why I forget to do, why I forget to put the fucking coffee grounds down the sink, why I didn't know that there was an executive function that just once I dump it in the sink, I need to habit stack turning on the fucking faucet instead of habit stacking walking the fuck away. But now I know that, so I can execute on that problem because I can stack it to something else that I should be doing anywhere, or that I'm a step that I know I'm going to have to take. Like for example, putting the milk back in the fridge. I know I'm going to have to do that. So before I do that, I wash the shit down the sink. That's the stack.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tricks to that. Those one-off things, they always get me though. Hey, before you get out the door, can you do this, 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 and this, and this? And it's like, probably not. Yeah. Probably not, because for me to get out the door, I already went through a list of all the things that I have to do. And so now what you're doing is you're taking a wrench and saying, hey, you have this process that works for you so you don't forget your phone, your wallet, your keys, your lunch, all these things. You've just taken that process that I have, where my bag goes, where the keys are, and you just threw a wrench in it. So now, right in the middle of it. Now it's like, oh, I forgot my wallet too. Not only did I not do that thing, but now I don't have my wallet, because you don't know what you're dealing with, right? So when you look at this and say, well, when I get on a call, this is how I'm going to take notes. Just try something, find something that works for you. Try to do it every time. Something super simple. When I get a lead, I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to do it every time. And don't do 20 things and say, I'm going to habit stack, Corey. I have 100 habits that I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to go full bore. I'm going to do Miracle Morning plus all these other things that I've learned on the internet. I'm going to become enlightened and one with the universe all at once.
All at once.
It doesn't work, man.
No.
It doesn't work. You see me build marketing campaigns and funnels. How do I do it? It's just like habit stacking. One thing. Okay, I got that thing. That thing works. Okay, what's the next thing? We have a plan. We know what our goal is. Everybody they want to do everything at once. They want to be 6-pack abs, 4-minute mile, best lover on earth, roller coaster, rocket engineer, philosopher, deal maker, overnight, super supreme in a month. And they think that I'm going to get the best habits in the world. I'm going to learn from the best people in the world. And I'm telling them, hey, you want to be twice as productive during the day? Get a piece of paper and write one thing on it. Not the 5 things you're going to do today. Write the one thing that you're working on right now. Just do that.
Why? This is so good. I love this part. Go ahead.
So this is one of my own techniques. Super powerful because it builds to everything else. No to-do list, no checklists. You pick one thing that you're going to do. It's a full 8x10. If you're feeling frisky, feeling extra, go the legal size, 8x14. Right? Go a little bigger. But write the one thing that you're actually working on and write it big on that piece of paper. Right? Big ideas, big handwriting. Right? Small ideas, small handwriting. Write big what you're going to do. Put it right in front of you. So this means a couple things, Corey. This means that your desk is clean enough where you can actually put something in front of you. But this means that every time that you find yourself looking at that damn TikTok, every time that your phone rings because you haven't learned how to eliminate your phone yet, every time your cell phone buzzes because you didn't hear me talking about focus mode, every time somebody busts into your office or whatever it is, you look at that piece of paper and you say, that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
That's it. Start there. That's your environment. You could start by cleaning and organizing your entire office and wasting weeks and weeks and weeks doing that, right? You could do it a little bit at a time. We could talk about advanced techniques like using time blocking, but you know what you have to do if you do time blocking? You got to look at that damn piece of paper that's on your desk. If you can't do that, why am I going to teach you how to do time blocking in a couple weeks? So that works for me because, like I said, I run a business. People are coming into my office. They're saying, hey, this happened. Hey, I need you to look at this. Hey, this is going to ship out the door. Hey, we have to work on this project. And that's what it takes. To a large degree, I also try to build processes to separate myself, but that's what it takes. And when I get back to my desk, it has to say, this is the thing you were working on.
Yeah, and to be, I know that we're almost to the end, but be clear, just to be clear about the reason that you build the processes to separate yourself is because you're more efficient without having to deal with the things you're building the processes for.
Right. I need to stay in my area where it's the thing that only I can do for right now. And it's the highest value function of what I can do. So for a lot of salespeople out there, it's probably in following up with people, or it's calling leads. Anything that's not producing you revenue, or you're not sure how it's going to make you money, is a waste of time.
Right.
And there's a whole lot of that. So chit-chatting with your office mates, people are saying, oh, that's to build relationships. Well, that's great. I like to build relationships by making people money. So get on the phone, build some relationships. Right? Everybody's going to want to talk to you when you beat the leaderboard for sales in your office, or you make a big deal, right? So quit making excuses, and you look at it like that and you say, oh, well, I couldn't eliminate the phone from my office because I would have to do this, 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 and this, or I'd have to talk to Callye, I'd have to talk to Corey about how that works. Great. But yeah, I build those processes because, dude, every time you're taken out of your mental space by your environment, it's going to take you 45 minutes to get back in the zone.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Statistically, every ding that goes off on the phone takes you 20 minutes to fucking refocus. Every motherfucking ding on the phone. I mean, I don't know how some people get anything done without, if they don't have some sort of, like you said, the focus mode, which is huge. And we can get into that later, but that's helped me tremendously. So I think that's all we got for the show today.
All right. Yeah, that was great. So we talked about environmental factors, both threw out some tips, what worked for us, try to get a hold of that. If you have tips for us, make sure that you join ADHD Sales Legends on Facebook and share in the community, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to lift up each other, share what works for us, so you can learn things like my simple piece of paper technique. Maybe that's a game changer for you. Maybe it's stupid, right? It doesn't work for you. I don't know. I'm not you, but give it a try and tell us how it works in the group. And let's all look at those issues that we have, know about ourselves, and turn those things into superpowers. So that's what ADHD Sales Legends is all about. That's it for me. Thank you, Corey. Another great episode, in my opinion, brother, but I'm out.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.